Have you ever felt the terrifying sensation that your own body is slowly locking you out and you do not have the key to get back in? Let's stop for a second. Where are you sitting right now? Look around your room and tell me the truth. How is your health holding up today? Are you feeling that heavy bone, deep exhaustion they tell you is just a normal part of getting older? I am sitting on a park bench right across the street from my front door. There are 3 pigeons staring at me right now like I owe them money. I don't. I don't have any bread, and even if I did, I wouldn't give it to them because they have terrible manners. My name is Martha. I am 101 years old. I am not a doctor. I don't have a framed piece of paper on my wall telling me how your body works. I haven't read the latest medical journals because, frankly, they are incredibly boring and written by people who have never actually experienced the things they are writing about. But I have dragged this particular body around for over a century, so I would say I have a bit of practical lived experience. And I can tell you right now that most of what they tell you about getting older is complete garbage. People are constantly walking up to me in this park and asking me the secret to a long life. I usually tell them it's spite, but that is only half true. The real truth is a lot less glamorous, a lot more annoying, and it requires actual work. Let's go back a few years. Let's talk about how I lost my independence and how I stole it back. There was no dramatic fall. I didn't slip on a banana peel or tumble down a flight of stairs like a stuntman in a cheap movie. I didn't get hit by a bus. It was just a Tuesday. I was in my kitchen trying to make a perfectly acceptable cup of tea, and my legs simply filed for bankruptcy. I sat down on the cold linoleum floor because my knees suddenly felt like they were filled with wet concrete. I sat there looking at the bottom of my refrigerator thinking, well, this is incredibly undignified. I couldn't get up. I just sat there staring at a dust bunny for 2 hours until my daughter came over and found me. The swelling in my legs had been getting worse for months. By the time 3 o'clock in the afternoon rolled around, my ankles looked like grapefruits. The fatigue was not just being tired. You know what being tired feels like. This was a lead weight pulling me straight down into the center of the earth. I was dragging my feet instead of walking. My balance was a joke. I was holding onto countertops and chair backs just to navigate my own living room. So because I was terrified and because my family panicked, I ended up in a care facility. They called it an assisted living community. The brochure had pictures of smiling older people playing chess. The reality was a place that smelled permanently of bleach and boiled cabbage. The nurses were nice enough, but they treated me like I was a porcelain teacup that was about to shatter if someone sneezed too loud. And here is the truly terrifying part about places like that. It is the psychological erosion. When you lose the ability to make simple choices like when to turn off the light or what time to eat your awful pureed vegetables, your spirit starts to fade right alongside your muscles. You stop making decisions. You start to believe you are completely helpless. And once your brain believes you are done, your body happily packs its bags and agrees. I watched people disappear in that place not because their hearts gave out, but because their sense of themselves just evaporated. They bought into the lie that their useful days were over. I decided I wasn't going to let that happen to me. Mostly because I hated the food and I really wanted to go sit in my own park again without asking for permission. Then I met a physical therapist named Marcus. Marcus looked like he was 12 years old. I asked him if his mother knew he was playing doctor and if he had finished his homework yet. He didn't laugh, but he also didn't talk to me like an infant. He pulled up a chair right next to my bed one morning, and he explained exactly what was happening to me. He said my legs were weak because they hadn't been challenged. He told me my calf muscles were supposed to act as a second heart, pumping blood back up to my chest. And because I had been sitting around doing absolutely nothing, that blood was just pooling in my feet. That accumulation was the swelling. That pooled fluid was the heavy, wet concrete feeling. My legs were suffocating because I had stopped asking them to do their job. Marcus didn't promise me a miracle. He didn't have a magic pill. He gave me 5 incredibly boring movements, The first one was just sitting in a chair and pumping my ankles, lifting the heels up, then lifting the toes up, like tapping along to a very slow, boring song. He made me do it for 2 full minutes. It sounds ridiculous. I thought he was out of his mind. How were ankle pumps going to get me out of this prison of forced bingo games and terrible pudding? But he explained that the pumping motion activates a deep muscle in the calf that pushes the blood back up. Then he made me squeeze my thigh muscles, sitting on the edge of the chair, straightening my leg and squeezing the muscle on top of my thigh as hard as I could for 5 seconds. He said those were the muscles that allowed you to stand up from a chair and walk upstairs. Without them, you are grounded. Finally, he made me practice standing up, just sitting in a chair, leaning forward and standing up without using my hands to push off, then sitting back down very slowly, fighting gravity on the way down. I did these movements every single day. It wasn't a movie montage. There was no upbeat music playing in the background. It was just an old woman angrily pumping her ankles and squeezing her legs for hours every week. And it was frustrating. The progress is completely invisible when you look at it day to day. You do the exercises and the next morning you still feel like garbage. You want to quit. You tell yourself it isn't working. But I didn't quit, because I am stubborn. After 2 weeks, the swelling went down just a little bit. After 6 weeks, I stood up from a dining chair without using my arms to push for the first time in over a year. Let me tell you what that feels like. Standing up independently under your own power after believing that ability was gone forever. There is no drug in the world that gives you the rush that moment gives you. After 4 months, I walked out of that facility on my own 2 feet. That was 20 years ago. I am 101 years old and I haven't been back since. I still do those ankle pumps every single morning before my feet even touch the floor. 2 minutes every day. It is the first thing my legs do. But here is the real secret, the part no one wants to talk about because you can't put it in a pill bottle and sell it for a massive profit. Everything I just told you about the exercises and the blood flow and the muscle fibers, that is only 30% of the equation. The other 70% is completely mental. I didn't walk out of that place just because my calves got stronger. My calves got stronger because I decided with a stubborn, absolute ferocity that I was not finished. I wanted to go home. I wanted to sit on this exact bench and watch these exact annoying pigeons. I wanted to make my own tea. When your brain believes you have a reason to be here, it literally changes your chemistry. The inflammation goes down. You sleep better. Your immune system works differently. The pain signals change. But you can't just sit in a room and think happy thoughts. The universe doesn't care about your positive affirmations. You need an actual purpose. It is a biological need to be needed. When I finally got back to my house, I realized it was very quiet. I was alone, and loneliness will kill you faster than weak legs ever could. So I picked up the phone. I started calling my neighbors. I set up a Tuesday morning check-in with 3 other women on my street who lived alone. We talked for 20 minutes. We didn't talk about our aches and pains. I forbade it. I asked them what they ate yesterday. I asked if they moved around. I forced them to tell me one thing they were actually grateful for, instead of just complaining about the property taxes or the weather. And a very strange thing happened. Taking responsibility for someone else made my own knees hurt less. Knowing that Beatrice was waiting for my phone call meant I had to get out of bed, even if Beatrice is a profoundly annoying woman who complains about the rain when there isn't a cloud in the sky. Feeling genuinely needed by another human being, feeling responsible for their well-being, is the most powerful medicine in existence. Within 3 months, all 4 of us reported sleeping better, hurting less, and feeling more alert than we had in years. No new medications, no new therapies, just the chemical and neurological effect of knowing that someone else was holding space for us and we were holding space for them. So, here is my challenge to you. I am looking right at you. I am not asking you to run a marathon tomorrow. Please don't. You will hurt yourself and I will feel responsible, and I already have enough to worry about. Start small. Be honest with yourself today. If you are lonely, admit it. If you are frightened of losing your independence, name that fear. Do not let it sit quietly in the dark. And then do one movement. Sit in a chair and pump your ankles for 2 minutes. Squeeze your thigh muscles. Remind your body that it still works. Remind your muscles that you are still the boss. And then do the harder part. Find someone to give yourself to. Call the neighbor who stopped coming outside. Knock on a door. Show up for someone. You think you are too tired or too old to be of use to anyone, but that is a lie you have bought into. Your life right now, exactly as it is, still has something significant left to give. Start tomorrow morning. Just one movement, just one phone call. Do it the next day too, and the day after that. Somewhere in the ordinary daily doing of it, you are going to find a spark you thought burned out a long time ago. It was never gone. It was just waiting for you to strike the match again. Your spirit is far more resilient than you have been given credit for. Now, if you will excuse me, I have to go inside. These pigeons are getting entirely too bold, and I need to go make a cup of tea. Leave a comment below and tell me what you are going to do tomorrow to take your life back. I want to read every single one of them.